All right, looks like we're online and ready for another week of Pixel Chatter. Pixel Chatter, what a tongue twister. Pixel Chatter number 11. Number 11, welcome to Pixel Chatter. Good to have you here. Another week has gone by and hopefully you've been out taking lots of photos and having a bit of fun, doing the things that you love to do. We've got a pretty jam-packed Pixel Chatter show today. We're going to be covering off quite a few things. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Lots of interesting stuff going on in photography at the moment, that is for sure. I've seen some new stuff being released. I know the Nikon D850Ts happening by Nikon. It's interesting how these companies use this marketing technique now when they're bringing out a new product, where they sort of tease us a little bit, and there's been a few leaked photos and a few leaked, not statistics, technical details, and a few leaked bits and pieces about that camera. And I've got to say, so far, it's looking interesting. I saw some stats, which I'm going to share with you a bit later. I saw some leaked information about it and some photos, and it looks like it doesn't have an onboard flash. It looks like it has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, all sorts of stuff. So will I be tempted by it? That's one of the questions we will be answering very, very shortly. Now, if you're in the chat box, say g'day. We got here, Big Eyes. G'day, Big Eyes. How are you, mate? I'm going well. I hope you're going well. Brian, hi, Brian. Good to see you back again. Tommy, good morning from Terrigal, New South Wales, Australia. So Tommy's in Sydney. Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Make sure whilst you're up there, Tommy, that you get a chance to go and shoot sunset at Long Jetty. Really nice place up there. And Long Jetty is a good spot for sunset. Tim, g'day Tim from Florida. Good to see you here. Hopefully the weather in Florida is a bit warmer than here. I mean, we're going to be starting to swap because our seasons are starting to change, aren't they? From Bris Vegas, Angry Eden. G'day Angry Eden. Ken from Ipswich, Queensland. G'day Ken, how are you? Anthony Youngblood. Big Oz, you're on your way back to Sydney, eh? You got your flights booked. Awesome. You'd be pretty excited then, wouldn't you? Be pretty excited getting back to the mothership. Warm but rainy in Florida. Fair enough. All right. Yeah, so lots of cool things to cover off this week. Let's get stuck straight into it. I'll keep checking this the chat box. Oh, Tommy's already been to Long Jetty. Awesome. Yeah, so the other places you need is, as I said, Nora Head Lighthouse. Head a bit further north to Nobby's Lighthouse, the Skillion at Terrigal. There's just so many great spots up there. Just go exploring. There's spots up there we wouldn't even know about. Gianni, good day. How are you? All right, let's get stuck into it. I said I was going to do that about 3 times now. See how easy I get distracted by that chat box. But I love the interaction of these videos. It's cool. And I've got my my Biker's Biggest Morning Tea cup where we supported the Cancer Council. One of my favourite cups to drink out of. It's just a regular old mug. I think that's what I like about it. Alrighty. So, first of all, I just wanted to give a shout out to the new Patreons this week. If you haven't already, Patreon is a way for you to support the channel and get more involved. Let me just flick over to here. Oh, there we go. If I just show you what the page looks like. Here we go. All right. So if you come here, if you're wondering what's included in my Patreon, rewards, you can come here. All the rewards are on the right-hand side. You can, get involved for as little as $2 a month. And, I'm really, really grateful and feel honoured, in fact, for the people that are following and joining up as Patreons and helping support the channel. You never know, one day I may be able to do this whole photography gig full time. You never know. Which would be amazing if we could just build a community that ran full time, that supported your hobby as well. There you go. That's the information where you go. Just go to patreon.com/on3legs. The link's down in the description, I think. Now, the very base level, the first level, you join as a VIP. Everyone gets this level. It's kind of cool. And there's this thing called a VIP group. And I just wanted to let everyone know that to get into this VIP group, you do need to be a Patreon. I've had a few people ask to join, especially since I linked my Facebook page to the group. Facebook asked me if I wanted to do that, which I did, so I could post in the group as my photography profile, not as my personal profile. Not that it bothers me either way. Any of you tuning in, if you want to connect with me personally, go for it on Facebook. I'm happy to have whoever connect with me. So, but if you did want to get into this group, the only way to do that is to become a patron. And as you can see, there's a lot of activity in here. We're sharing pictures. There's an amazing picture there from Steve, and capturing the dramatic sky in Ohope Beach. Check that out. That was a nice looking morning. And then Samuel has chucked in a photo of from when he was at Cradle Mountain. And so there's a lot of cool things being shared. And here's some photos of the giraffes. And Ren was sharing with us how he was using luminosity masking and the differences it was making. So he's just going through the process of learning that. Here's a HDR shot from Stephen. So there's a whole bunch of stuff getting shared in here. And Gianni putting a funny gif in here. Nikon lost it. Have a look at this funny. That's the Beaker from the Muppets, if you don't remember Beaker. But anyway, there's heaps of stuff going on in there. So I suggest if you become a patron, you get access to that group. And we're having a good old chat in there, and the community is starting to grow, which is awesome. So from me personally, a very heartfelt thank you for the support. And it's great for us to be able to continue to build this community together, which is cool. On that note, one of the levels of Patreon that you can come in at is the VIP Elite, which we had our very first VIP Elite join during the week, who is on here on the live stream today, which is Tommy. So Tommy, thank you for that support, mate. And I just wanted to encourage you. He's got some great work. Let me just show you Tommy's 500 pics page. And I don't know how you don't have more followers, Tommy, because some of this stuff is great. So I'm going to encourage you guys, get across, and pretty much all of his social media is Viking Photography HK. So just, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or 500 pics, just put in /Viking Photography HK and you'll find him. But I use this page because it gives you the best view of his images. But check those out. How good are they? I don't know how you've only got 30-something followers, Tommy. So let's see if we can boost up Tommy's followers. Go and find Tommy and follow him. He's got some great images there. And doesn't 500 pics do a great job of keeping the detail? I don't know if it has an algorithm that enhances the clarity or something, but these images, the images on 500 pics, they don't degrade them like Facebook does. So really like your work, Tommy. So yeah, everyone go and support Tommy. He's an elite now. He's supporting the On Three Legs community in a big way. So give him a bit of love by going and liking his stuff there. There we go. All right. What do you think of that, gang? How good are those photos? Who's jumped on this morning? Let's have a look. BP, good morning, Ben. Ren, g'day, Ren. Hey, Ren, we've got one of your photos shortly. And a great photo and an example of what we can do. Chance from Arizona. G'day, mate. How are you? I've got to get out to Arizona after seeing that amazing photo last week. Looks like Eric's here as well from Finding Middle Earth. G'day, Eric. I've been a bit slack, mate. I've had a busy week and I didn't get to you this week. But me and Eric are going to hook up and do something special because Eric's got a YouTube channel as well. Yeah, good stuff. All right. So... yeah, if you want to jump on with the Patreon, that'd be good. Another exciting thing that happened during the week, if you didn't see it, was I got interviewed by Joe Valencia on his blog, and I'll just show you what that looked like. I was actually pretty honoured. I don't think I've ever been interviewed as a photographer. So I was a bit shocked when he said, "Do you want me to interview? Can I interview you?" I thought, "Oh, okay, sounds cool." I have had my profile put up on ShotKit, that site that Mark runs, which is awesome. If you haven't seen that, go to shotkit.com. It's got all the kits of a heap of different, like hundreds of photographers on there, so you can get to see what people shoot with. But yeah, it was really cool, and I love the way that Joe did the interview. And if you go to joevalenciaphotography.blogspot.com.au, then you'll be able to find this interview. The other way is if you get my weekly newsletter, it's in there, and I also put a link to it on my Facebook page because it's not the easiest link to follow. But yeah, he asked me a few questions. I share a few photos. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, if you're not getting the newsletter, here's what it looks like. Every week now, I'm sending out what I'm calling the weekly focus, and I'll just have all the things, a few things in there that I am up to, the latest vlog, some tips, for example. Just each week I've been putting something different in there, trying to make it useful for you, because I know we all have busy lives, but I get a couple of newsletters and I still love consuming content from newsletters. So I thought, you know what, rather than just sending out the tip a week that I was doing, I thought I'm just going to put it into a newsletter, and you can choose whether or not you want to be on there or not. Now, the way that you get onto the newsletter is go to my website on 3legs.com, and you need to opt in for the free ebook that I have there, which is 10 tips to build 10 tips to take better photos. And if you don't want to stay on the newsletter list, just unsubscribe once you get the book. But if you want to stay on the newsletter list, then that's how you do it. And that way you'll get that weekly newsletter where I'm sharing all sorts of cool things with you. All right, so let's move on to some questions, because I've got some questions. I'll jump into the chat box. Let's see what's going on. I see a fair bit of activity going on here. Outback Australia. Where are you, Aussie Paul? Outback Australia. I see in the outback somewhere. All right. A lot of Australia is outback, by the way. Roger from Sydney. Hey, g'day, Roger. Not too many people here from Sydney. Good to have you here, mate. George, g'day. Where are you from, George? Sound like an Aussie saying g'day, but you could be doing that just because because I'm an Aussie. I don't know. Milesy from Camden, New South Wales. Another Aussie. G'day, Milesy. Nikki, wet UK. Yeah. Good evening from a wet UK. Well, it's quite often wet in the UK, isn't it? And London, England for... Of course, I love these YouTube usernames. Sometimes OC2Fisher07. We'll just call you Fishy. There's Nottingham, UK. Look at this, all these palms getting on. By the way, I'm sort of half English, half Aussie. Both my parents are English. So I'm first generation of my family that was in Australia. So I have a lot in common. A lot of family in the UK. Well, slowly, unfortunately, they're passing away, but still have a lot there. So Aussie's 3 hours west of Alice Springs. You're definitely in the outback out there, aren't you? Okay, so Fishy. We'll just laugh it loud at Fishy. Well, I think that'll do. Fishy. George, near Geelong, Teesdale. Awesome. All right. I think that's people joining the chat, and because I asked that question about 15 minutes ago, where you're from. I think that's why we're seeing that. So one of the questions I got, or somebody said they had missed seeing this hat. This hat, I think, has become a little bit famous. There we go. A little bit famous in my on my YouTube channel. And it's just, I think they said, we missed the hat with the teeth. So here it is. I don't think I'll keep it on for the entire show. But people are used to seeing me with the hat with the teeth. Even when I'm out and about, if I'm out and about shooting, people come and see me, and they go, I recognise the hat. So, it's the hat that gets them. And, it's just one of my favourite hats. I got this from the Temora Aviation Museum out in Western New South Wales. And I'm just a big lover of the Spitfire. Just, that's what's on there is the Spitfire. And that's the teeth that's painted on the front of the fuselage. That's where the hat story comes from. But if you've missed the hat, I've got it here today. So there you go. Aussie said, yep, missed that hat. I don't know, I couldn't believe how many comments I had on the Tasmania videos where I had my other hat. Now, the reason I took the Nike hat was it packs down flat. And this one would have got squashed inside the suitcase. So there you go. That was the only reason. But I've learnt my lesson. From now on, I'm going to have to keep this hat on. Caught out with that dual citizen. Good job you're not a politician. Yes. Lucky I'm not a politician. Lucky I'm not. A lot of my students, yeah, they'd say I have it. Fishy says I've got it on baked front. Or the students would. I know. I'm just not into that style. What do you think? I don't think it works. I think I'll go back to this way. All right. Okay, let's get stuck into the questions, because I had that was one of my less serious questions, is where's the hat? But no, I haven't lost it. All right, let's get stuck into these questions. Somebody asked me about doing a pano in Lightroom. Well, first of all, no. When I did the last week's vlog, I was shooting the pano at the lookout in Tasmania, the nature reserve. Feels funny having a hat on his side, by the way. I'll get that. There we go. We'll leave it on. Anyway, I was asked about how I used Lightroom to create the panoramic image, and people were saying, "Oh, do I need to use Photoshop? Do I need?" And sometimes I forget, because I've been doing this for a long time, that not everybody knows how to do some of these things. And the good thing about panoramics now is it's actually really easy to do. So I thought what I'd do is give you a really quick look at how to do it. So I've loaded up my photos from that trip into Lightroom, and you'll see that I've got 5 shots. Now, some of the key to a good panoramic shot is actually when you take the photos, and you'll notice in these shots there's a fair bit of overlap, and that's really important. Looks like they're out of order, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. This one here, I think, is supposed to be up here. That makes more sense. It was a bit weird. Anyway, you'll see that I've got these shots. There's a lot of overlap. Now, the reason we do that, especially in landscape, is that the software can get pretty confused pretty quickly if you don't have things overlapped in a big way. And that's what I find anyway. So once you're inside Lightroom, so this is Lightroom I'm in. Let me just make it so it's full size, so you're not getting distracted by anything else. There we go. So we're in Lightroom. You basically just select the first image you want, select the last image you want, holding down the shift key, it'll select them all. You then just right click on any of them and go to photo merge and choose panorama. And what happens then is you just get this choices. It's just doing its thing, taking a bit of time. Then it asks you, do you want spherical? And I'll show you the preview in here. Cylindrical or perspective. Now, I typically like to use perspective a lot because it sort of allows for the distance from the lens of each part of the shot. As where you look at cylindrical, bends it at the front, and spherical, so it's bending it towards me, and spherical does the same thing. But if you hit perspective, you actually lose a lot of the top and bottom, but it keeps everything straight. I think that's the right word. Anyway, I'll hit the merge button and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about, because you'll start to see what's going on. Whilst that's happening, let's have a look at the question box. Why don't I wear an Aussie hat? Well, I could do, I guess. I could wear an Aussie hat, but I love the. I do love the Spitfire. I'm a big Spitfire fan. Now you can see this is generating the panorama. I don't know how well you can see that progress bar up the top left there. These are big raw files out of my. These are out of the Fuji, by the way. I took these on the Fuji X-T1. It's not as big a file as if I did it on the Nikon. Someone's mentioning Canon lenses behind me. Yes. So those lenses behind me are actually for sale. So that's why they're out and boxed. All right, cool. So what has just happened is the panoramic image has just loaded. So let's go back there. Yeah, someone's asked about those Canon lenses. They're for sale. They won't fit on my D810. You are correct. But they're for sale. I had a lens rental business that I'm shutting down. So you can, if you want Canon lenses, they're on eBay somewhere. All right. So you'll see that this is the panoramic image now. Now, let me just kind of develop for a second. And I'll just hit the crop because it does like an auto crop for me. So this will just give you an idea of what's going on. So when you use that perspective, what it does is it actually allows for the fact that you had the camera pointing in a certain direction. So you can see it sort of wraps around you, the image. So you're always going to have to think about the fact that you will be cropping a fair bit off each of the corners of your image. And the wider you make your image, so let's say you decide to do a really wide panoramic image, you're going to get the skinnier it's going to get in the middle. It's a bit hard to explain, but the further you wrap it around yourself, the more it's going to cut off. So you need to keep that in mind when you're shooting. The way around that, which works really well, is do a series of shots with your camera level, then come back to the starting point, point it up about 20 degrees, do another series of shots, and then point it down about 20 degrees from level and do another series of shots. And that way you'll always have heaps of data. So you'll end up with maybe 15 or 20 images that you stitch together, but it works relatively well. Not always, but relatively well. So you can see that this one you know, it's automatically cropped for me looking like that. And that's, you know, that's the finished result that we end up with. And then you can sort of just, you know, pick something to just go through my presets to come in. Let's go with Morning Mayhem. There we go, that looks good. Bit of Morning Mayhem. We want to tweak. These are my presets that I'm preparing for VIP members, by the way, in the Patreon group. I'm trying to make them so they make sense. But I do a lot of stuff in here. This one's called Secret Sauce. I'm going to put myself a gradient on the top and bottom. Not enough. Let's put a bit more. There we go. And let's just vignette the corners. There we go. And then we have an image. So that's how simple it is to create a panoramic in Lightroom. It's actually pretty simple. So I think, you know, I forget that it is something that I do a lot. And I think when you do something a lot, it's easy to forget that not everybody understands how to do them. So you don't need any special software. If you've got Lightroom, then you can do it. There is some free software somebody told me about. I can't remember what it is now. But there's lots of free software out there also. But if you've got Lightroom, you don't need to use Photoshop. You don't need to use pano software, which is what you used to have to do, unless you're going to do amazingly huge panos. But as you can see, I shot that in the XT1. Just overlap them a fair way and you'll be fine. I was on a tripod. I leveled the tripod and I just swung it around. And if you watch the vlog from last week, you'll see exactly how I took that image. I was careless. I didn't really, you know, put much attention to it. You know, you're supposed to, you know, use manual exposure so it doesn't change, but I just had an aperture priority. I mean, you know, everything is so forgiving these days. So what used to be very difficult to do has become very simple. And that's, you know, I love that about the fact that you can just, you know, create an image like that so simply, you know, like it didn't take me much effort at all. So that's what you can do. All right. Let's now jump into okay, the 5-star images and filter by that. And so I'm just getting my next lot of things ready. That's the beauty of a live show. Because we are going to take a look at this week's image critiques. I need some music for that. Some image critique music. Oh dear. Let's have a look at the questions before I jump onto that and drink my coffee. Have you used a Really Right Stuff nodal slide? If so, is it worth buying? So Tommy, yes. In fact, is it easy for me to find? No, it's not. I've got a cupboard above me, by the way, with some stuff in it. Yes, I have the Really Right Stuff leveling plate and the nodal slider. And the place where that's useful is if you have a lot of things close to you. So, for example, say you're going to do a panoramic including a bridge. What starts to happen is if you don't have the nodal slider, you'll get this parallax error happening, and it'll start to be very hard for software to stitch together. It depends how close you are. When you're back away from something, the error has less of an effect on your final image. So typically, you'll find people will use nodal sliders or panoramic rigs, like actual, you know, with the 3-axis whatever thing on it, when they're doing architecture, because they'll need all the lines to stay nice and straight, and they don't need the parallax error. Now, if you're wondering what parallax error is, grab your 2 fingers, and this is how you do it. Get your 2 fingers like this. I'm going to do it without trying to bump that mic there. Grab your 2 fingers like this, close one eye, and then move your head like that. And what happens, you do it like that. Just put one, you know, about a foot behind the other, and just turn your head like that, and you'll see what will happen is one finger will cross over the other. Hopefully you're all doing that now. One finger will cross over the other. And what that is what's called parallax error. And that's what happens in your camera. Because your eye is not, you know, over the nodal point, let's call it that, you know, if your eye was directly over the middle of your neck where it was rotating, then you're going to get rid of that error. But because your eye is forward and off to the right, you're getting that error. And the same thing is true with your lens. There's a certain point inside your lens where the light crosses over, and it's called the nodal point. And you need that to be in the right spot to get rid of that error if you're doing a pano. So if you've got a pano that you're doing and there's lots of upright poles or trees that are, in the distance. So once again, if the further you put that finger away, the bigger the error. So you put this really close to your face, put this finger right out, the bigger the error. And so, it just depends on what you're photographing, Tommy, as to whether or not you're going to use it. I hardly ever get it out because it's, it's something extra you got to get out, unless I'm really seriously going to take a pano. It's a good question. All right. Good stuff. We've finally got some trolls coming in here. Let's block this person that wants to see my nudes. Oh dear. You're always in these live chats for some reason. I don't know where these trolls come from. They just have fun jumping into people's live chats and being dumb. Anyway, if you see them in there, don't worry. Just let me know, and I'll do my best to block them and ban them pretty quickly, because we don't need to read their crap. All right. Fishy has Elements 13, so I'm going to try that to do a panorama. Yeah, give it a go. I'm not sure what Elements does and doesn't have, but this you get the Adobe products, I think, for about... They just put the prices up in Australia because of the international tax laws, but it's still pretty cheap to get the photography package. And that gives you all the updates and everything. And the photography package gives you Lightroom and Photoshop. I think you can get Lightroom on its own. Honestly, you do not need Photoshop anymore. You just do not. Big Oz found editing in Lightroom, matching the settings for a pano, then moving to Photoshop for the merge easier. Okay, yeah. I think it just depends on what you're trying to do. I do still use Photoshop a lot. I don't use it a lot when I'm showing people how to do things because it's a little bit more advanced. I think that Lightroom does a great job, so why not start there? Yeah, Fishy says, a shame that trolls exist. Yeah, that's all right. That's going to be... I don't mind. If it's what makes them happy, then let them do their thing. I can just block. The good thing about this whole thing is I have a button where I can just block anybody and ban them, so they can never come back in again. So don't worry about it. It just makes our morning a little, or evening, wherever you are, a little bit more entertaining, doesn't it? All right. So that's Pano and Lightroom. The other question I got, and let me jump across to... let's have a look. Let's have a look at this. This is the other question I got a lot during the week. Will I be moving to the D850? G'day, Riven. Nice to have you here. Good morning. Will I be going to the D850? You know what? I've had the D810 for several years. I got one of the first ones. When I went... I didn't pre-order. Well, I tell a lie. I did pre-order, and I pre-ordered, but then the company that I pre-ordered with refunded my money and said that they couldn't get me one for months. So I thought, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just wait till it comes out and then I'll try and find one. And so I got my D810. I was out shopping with the boss, and I went into Canberra House. They had a box for the D810 in the cupboard, and I said to the guy, because there was none anywhere, I said, is that just a display box? And he said, no, there's a camera in there. I said, is it for sale or is it sold? He said, it's for sale. So I said, I'll take it, and that's when I bought it. Now, the challenge with being an early adopter is you pay more. The D810 right now, you can pick up a D810 for $1,000 less than what I picked it up, which is 25% saving than what I picked it up for a few years ago. Is it still a great camera? Absolutely. It's an amazing camera. I mean, the D800 is still an amazing camera. That you could probably still shoot with a D700 or a D300 or a D200 and still, you're still going to get great photos. So, it's just about whether or not you want to be that early adopter, isn't it? And I unfortunately have that disease where I like to be an early adopter. So let's have a quick look at the D850 and why one might decide to upgrade from the D810 or from anything else. There's a couple of cool things going on. First of all, they're saying, and this is a rumor by the way, that it could have a hybrid viewfinder. Now, you'll notice the shift to mirrorless with a lot of cameras. They're saying that this looks like it's got the signs of a hybrid viewfinder. When you look at this image here, where these arrows are pointing at little holes that they think could be sensors. And the way a hybrid viewfinder works is that when you put your eye near the eyepiece, it turns on inside, a little display of the, what's being seen. So it's sort of just like live view, but inside the eyepiece. If you look at the D3 though, and the D5, it also has these little holes, and they're just screws. So there's a chance they're just screws. I don't want to get anyone too excited. Having said that though, they did say there's another switch over here, which could be for toggling through the hybrid view options, because you can have it on always. You can be using both that and the rear screen, or you can just use it independently like the Fujis have. So there's a good chance it is, but I don't know if that is what's happening. This is a picture of the D810's back end and what it looked like. It doesn't have a hybrid, and then they're showing you this one has those two things. The other page that I looked at was this one here. Gives us a bit more details about the camera and why somebody might upgrade. Now, I don't know how many D810 shooters we have here. But if you're a D810 shooter, just pop in the comments whether you're thinking about upgrading. So here's a couple of things that I think are really cool. Illuminated buttons. Now, one of the things that I did with my camera was I used to sit on the lounge while watching telly and find the buttons. Because being a landscape photography shooter, I'm always out in the dark, and it's either before sunrise or after sunset. And finding the buttons is something that has to become second nature. So I memorized where everything was by feel. By what I would do is I would be watching the TV screen, sitting on the lounge, and I would then remember. I'd go, all right, well, I want to adjust the ISO, and then I'd do it, and then I'd look down and see, did I get it right? Or I'd go, I want to change the exposure value compensation, and I'd do it, and then I'd look down and go, yep, did I get it right? And I just practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. Because when you're in the dark, if you don't have a headlamp, there's no way you can see anything. Now, I also have a little red headlamp that I wear. I found one that has a red light, and the red light's really quite low, rather than, because the bright white light can be a bit too much. So, I have the little red light. But I think the fact that it's got illuminated buttons is a bit of a bonus. Now, having said that, obviously, one of the challenges with that is that it's going to take a little bit more power. So hopefully they've thought about that. The other thing it's going to have that I think is cool is the tilt screen. Fuji has had the tilt screen for a while, and I see other manufacturers doing it. Some of the Canon cameras have it, and it's always been something I've gone, well, why wouldn't you have it? If you're shooting down really low from a low perspective, or you want to hold your camera up high, the tilt screen makes it easy for you to be able to see what you're shooting. And being a landscape photographer, I actually don't look through my viewfinder very often. I shoot a lot with the live view, and I find the live view works well for me. I can zoom in, check my focus, and it also gives you mirror up shooting, because to be live view the mirror has to come up. So as soon as you start using live view, you're also reducing the risk of any camera shake because of that. So there's a few benefits to that. And then all I do is there's a little shutter on the optical viewfinder, so I just close the shutter so it doesn't let any light in no matter what, and then I never have to worry about forgetting to do that. So I use live view 95%. I mean, you probably see me on the vlog, I never look through the viewfinder. I just find that's besides the fact that the hat hits on the camera, I never look through the viewfinder. I just use the live view. So for me, this tilting screen is a big plus. The other thing that this is going to, or rumoured to have, and it's here somewhere. You can see here that they've removed the built-in flash. Well, that's fine. Don't use it anyway. I don't know anybody that does. There's the tilt screen, and you can also see a little symbol on the side here, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, just here near this rear button here. To me, that's a game changer, because there'll be two things you'll be able to do. I would say that you'll now be able to control your camera from your smartphone or iPad, and that'll be pretty cool. So from a wireless remote point of view, it's going to scare these companies that make wireless remotes. As you know, I use the SMD VRFN4S. I think it's the best wireless remote for the Nikons. You can go and find there's a review on my channel for that. But this one having Bluetooth and Wi-Fi means that you should be able to control this from your smartphone. Wi-Fi is always a pain. Now, the XT1 has Wi-Fi. It has a remote app, but it's a pain to connect the Wi-Fi up. It's always a pain. Start up an app. With Bluetooth, Bluetooth is a much more instant connection. So I think if this does have Bluetooth and it connects to your phone through Bluetooth, or maybe they're going to have a Bluetooth controller. They might release their own Bluetooth controller. I think it'll be an amazing advantage. The other thing is they may have flash trigger with Bluetooth. You never know, right? Who knows what they're going to bring out, but I think that's a really good advancement if that's what they've done. So will I update? Let's wait and see. Anything is possible. I'm not showing the screen now, am I? But let me just show you down here. I just realised I wasn't showing you the picture. So there you go. There's the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi just here. Yeah, so it'll be pretty amazing if that's what they do. Yeah, just excited to see what happens. Excited to see what happens, and if they do it, the Bluetooth, I think it'll be a game changer. Like I said, I think that'll be a reason to upgrade. Just that little bit more functionality. It's also going to be, I think, does it say here how many megapixels? I think it's going to be something ridiculous, like up there with because the new Canon 50R or whatever it is, has a much bigger sensor. So I think the D850 is going to have a 45 megapixel sensor from what I heard in rumours. So there's a chance that there's going to be quite a few changes that make it something people want to upgrade for. So let's have a look and see what are people saying about it. All right, Jeff, come late. Would like to hear your comments on using the tilt shift lens versus traditional setup for panos. Hey Jeff, I love using the tilt shift lens for panos, but I only have the 45mm tilt shift for my Nikon, but I love using them, and yeah, I think they work great. There is a Schneider lens, I think it is, that Timothy Poulton. Now, if you haven't seen Timothy Poulton, he's one of a kind photography. He now shoots with a Fuji GFX 50, but he was shooting with a Nikon D810 with a Schneider, I think it was a 50mm tilt shift, and what he did was the same thing. He did a thing called a flip and stitch. That particular lens, you flipped it to get the second shot rather than shifting it. So he would do the flip and the stitch, and that's how he made his panos. And he always looked amazing. I mean, the Schneider glass is amazing. Those lenses, though, are sort of like, I think they're $7 or $8 grand. So you've got to be really committed to your panoramic photography. I bought a 45mm tilt shift secondhand for about, I think, $2,000. And I love the way it takes panoramic images. And when you take a panoramic image with the Nikon D810, you get two 36 megapixel files and you join them together. And by the time the overlapping pixels are gone, you end up with like a 50 megapixel panoramic image. Still, the only challenge with any pano is because we're taking multiple shots and stitching them, if you have moving water or anything moving in your image, you really have to plan that out carefully. So, whenever I take a pano that includes water, I always slow the shutter speed down for that reason. Alrighty. Brian says, tilt screen is why I bought the D750. Yeah, and the D750 is a great camera. A lot of people using that. Gwen, joining a bit late from far north Queensland. G'day, Gwen. Nice to have you here. Doesn't matter what time you join in, as long as you're here. Big Oz, might need to upgrade. Chance. Chance says, I'm fat also. I wish my D610. I must have missed something about being fat. Did I? I can't go back now. Obviously I did. Roger says, think it will have some sort of hybrid EVF. Well, that's what they're saying. And you missed that before, Roger, let me just quickly jump back to that. The rumours from Petapixel are that it will have it. And looking at this, there are signs that it will. But having said that, the D3, D5, all these other cameras have these screw holes around the eyepiece like that. So it just could be that they've changed the construction of the body to be similar to the way that those other cameras are put together. But we'll have to wait and see. It's pretty exciting though, isn't it? I love the way they hype this stuff up these days. So we've got to wait and hang in there and see what happens, because until they release it, we won't know. Let's have a look. Gwen says, I've just upgraded to the D810. Yeah, look, if you've just upgraded, I mean, I've had people messaging me going, should I buy a D810? And I'd say to you, if you haven't had a full frame camera before, jump into the D810, because the D810 from any other crop sensor camera is an amazing leap in quality. You know, a lot of people ask me the difference between the Fuji and the Nikon, and it is image quality. There's no doubt about it. The Fuji XT1 has amazing image quality, but the sensor size on it is much smaller than that in my D810. It's, you know, it's 20 megapixels smaller. The XT2 is probably very different because it's got a much larger megapixels. It's still a crop sensor though. Full frame just gives you a different depth in the image, and that's why medium format takes it another jump in detail. Again, it's all about detail. So it just depends on what you want to do. But the D810s, you're going to find D810s everywhere on the market from enthusiast amateur photographers. Because here's what happens, guys, and you know this because you're in this group of people. You buy a camera because you love your photography, but you get busy and you don't get out there as much as you want. Now, that's not everybody, but most of you. I'm a unique specimen. I go out and take a lot of photos. My cameras always end up with a fairly high shutter count on them. But most people don't go out and take photos every weekend, and you'll find that you know, there's a lot of cameras out there that'll only have 5,000 or 10,000, maybe 15,000, even 20,000 on the shutter count, and the D810 is rated to 150,000. So do not be afraid to pick up a second-hand camera. I just recommend that you do it. You go and check it out first. So do it somewhere where you can check it. Go and take a few test shots and make sure you're happy with it. But once this D850 comes out, the D810 will be like, it'll be cheap as chips everywhere, second-hand, low shutter count. So just get ready for that. Riven saying no. Other new rumours say no hybrid system. Yeah, but who cares? You know, it's just rumours, isn't it? If it's going to have 8K time lapse, who can watch an 8K time lapse? How can you watch 8K? I've got no idea. I heard that. I thought, well, 4K, even 4K, you can't watch on most television screens. Let me see. My lens run faster than me. Yes, Chance. I heard that's no good to getting your lens stolen. Yeah, but that would happen to me too, my friend. If somebody was thinner and faster, my gear would go. Gwen has FOMO. Yes, everyone gets FOMO. That's what they rely on, and that's why they do this little leaking a bit at a time, because you're going to get FOMO. Nikon has patented from 23 for the hybrid viewfinder. Well, I heard it was earlier than that, but yes, they have patented a hybrid viewfinder, so that does add to the hype. If you have DX lenses, yes, you have to switch up to FX lenses. So you really have to then, Susan, you have to decide which lenses are going to be the ones you want to get to first. The good thing with the FX lens series is they hold their value much better than the DX lenses. And if you were to buy, you know, a wide angle, a medium, and a zoom, then that's all you need is 3 lenses. So you might get a wide angle like a 16 to 35 or a 14 to 24. I would suggest a 16 to 35 for most photographers if you want a wide angle. Then you know, there's a lot of third-party lenses that are amazing as well that are FX. So you get the 16 to 35, you might get the 24 to 70, and then you might get the 70 to 200. That would give you have 3 FX lenses that will cover everything. Or maybe you just jump into some Sigma art lenses. I'm hearing some great stuff about those, you know. So get the Sigma Prime lenses. There's just so many out there. Let me have a look. Didn't really understand the 8K hype. Nobody has an 8K monitor. Not yet. But I guess at some stage, Daniel. Yeah, and hello, by the way. Yes, hello, Daniel. Very good. All right. So that was that one. And I thought, yeah, look, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of hype around it. It's pretty exciting stuff. There always is a lot of hype when a new camera comes out. So that's the D850 for you. The final question I got was, what lens do I choose when traveling? This was from Heather. And Heather, now those previous 2 questions, I had several people ask it. That's why I won't name anybody in particular. But Heather, thanks for your question. What lens do I choose when traveling? Well, it depends on what I'm doing. Because I'm a landscape photographer, if I could only take one lens, it would be my 14 to 24 or my 10 to... is it a 10 to 24 on the Fuji? I think it is. I can't remember that. But the wide angle lenses, right? Because that's what I shoot. But it depends. If you know you're going to be going somewhere where you're just going to be shooting portraits, then maybe you take a lens for that. I think it's a hard question to answer. So I always say prepare the best you can for where you're going, but also remember that where you're going, If it's, if you're traveling, you won't have any access to your gear unless there's a hire shop nearby. Then you want to make sure you're prepared. But the other option is go where you're going, and then if you want something else, if there's a hire shop, you can always hire it. Or if you've got a friend where you're traveling to and they shoot with the same system, then maybe you can borrow a lens from them. But certainly one of the challenges with traveling with photography gear is deciding what to use. All right, time to jump into the critiques. So we can do that. All right, I'm just mindful of time. Anyway, these critiques will be relatively quick. I've got 3 here. Thanks for all the questions, by the way. If you do have a question you want me to answer on this show, just get rid of that. A friend of mine's birthday coming up there. If you have a question that you want to ask from the show, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can just leave it in the comments of one of the YouTube videos, the vlogs. You can put it on my Facebook page. You can email. I get a lot of them emailed to me. I probably get, 5 or 6 emails a day with questions, which I appreciate. So if you've got a question, the other thing is if you're in the VIP group, you can ask in the VIP group. You guys will get priority because you're VIPs. So if you've got a question you want answered on the show or an image you want critiqued on the show, the VIPs will get priority. All right, let's jump in. So this first image here on the left is Ren Thielen, who's a VIP. Thank you, Ren, for sending this waterfall picture in. We'll come to that shortly. The second one that we have here is Paul Harrop. Paul has sent me in a few images. We're going to critique this one of the tree. And then the final one is Ivan Bigenden. And Ivan has sent... I've got 2 of Ivan's for a reason. I'll explain that to you shortly, which is these 2 here, which is that one and that one. They're both from Tasmania. So I'll come back to those shortly. So let's hook straight into this image here of Ren's and give it a quick critique. Now, waterfalls are awesome to photograph, and this waterfall looks amazing. Where is this Ren? Because I think Ren's still here. Did I see Ren in here? I think I did. Are you here, Ren? I think you are. If you are, anyway, let us know where this was taken. This is a lovely waterfall. Now, if I look at the EXIF data, let me get rid of this bottom. Oh, there we go. Come on. There we go. All right, so if we have a look at this image, I look at the EXIF data, shot at ISO 40, so a nice low ISO. Shooting this on a Samsung camera, so nice low ISO. I'm not sure about this focal length, 4.2 millimeters. So I'm not sure exactly. I'm a bit confused by that. Looks like Nielsen Falls in Tasmania. Okay, yeah, it's an impressive waterfall, isn't it? So I'm not sure how, and I looked at this, as soon as I looked at this EXIF information, I'm thinking, is this a Samsung phone, or it's a SMG935F Samsung? I've got no idea what that is, gang, so if you can help me out, that would be good. Anyway, 4.2 millimeters, f1.7 at 1/100th of a second. So, yeah, I'm not sure, but I look at this, the one thing that I would change, and there really is only one thing, and that is the shutter speed. And the reason I say that is because it's a 1/100th of a second, the water is just a little bit too sharp. It is a Samsung phone, Ren. Well, there you go, mate. Wow. Samsung is really impressing me. I've got a mate who's traveling around the world at the moment. He's been putting some photos up, and his photos are amazing. So can you adjust things manually in the Samsung? I know you can with the apps in the iPhone, so you probably can. Because that's the only thing I would change. But I would probably increase the shutter speed, or slow it down rather, to blur the water a bit more. And then if we have a look, it looks to me like some of it is a bit blown out. So if we go into here, yeah, straight away I can see that. So you know how to do that in Lightroom. On the right hand side of your histogram, first of all, you can sort of see it's all bunched up over here on the right. You just click the up arrow, and it puts these red spots. So I don't know how well you can see that. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see it. So see these red spots? Now this is very typical of a waterfall. I know I've said this several times on the Pixel Chatter show. If you're shooting waterfalls, you have to underexpose, especially if it's sunny. Because what happens is where the water is whitewashing and the sun hits it, it will always overexposed. So you have to be really careful. You can also see in this shot here up the top that the sky has overexposed. So it's really important when you're taking your photos, you look out for that, because you can see that straight away, that those areas are blown out. They're just solid white. If I zoom right in there, see how they're just solid white? So it just loses all the detail. So you always want to underexpose just that little bit so you get a better result. Beautiful photo. Nice. I even really like the composition. I like the the tree coming in from the left. I like the fern down the bottom here. I probably would have moved back just a little bit more to get a bit more of that in, because it's framing the waterfall beautifully. Because you've also got a tree here that would be nice, I think, if it was in the shot. And then the thing that works well here is this stream coming out of the corner down the bottom right hand corner is a really nice leading line into the image. But I'd be going back there with my with my DSLR. So Ren, can you just confirm where that is? Is it Nelson Falls in Tassie, Ren, or is it something else? We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, like I said, so Nidden says not a fan of the tree being cut off. Yeah, that's why I'd probably move back just a little bit. You don't want the tree, that you've got to make a decision with trees at the edge of your images. If it's, you're putting it really close to the edge of the image, it can look funny as well. So it's just a balance. Depends what else is going on. We weren't there. Yeah, it's Nelson Falls, Ren says. Great stuff. Beautiful falls. Whereabouts in Tassie is that? I'm going to have to put that on my bucket list. Going to have to put that on my bucket list when I get back there. But from a composition point of view, I'm okay with the composition. Like I said, I would have moved back a little bit, maybe even down a little bit. When you're shooting waterfalls, what I find is sunrise or sunset, when the light is filtered or muted, or go there. One of the good things about waterfalls is you can shoot them on a cloudy day. So if you think about the cloudy days as Mother Nature's filter, it's like an ND filter. That's what I always, when I see a cloudy day, typically it means rain as well, so the waterfalls are going to be pumping, and you get rid of all the harsh light. So cloudy days are the days to go and shoot waterfalls during the day. If you do it any other time, you're going to find that you're going to get these blown highlights. So good stuff, Ren. Good go at that, mate. For a phone shot, yeah, I know. These phones are amazing me. Because when I saw 4.2 millimeters and f1.7, I'm going, what lens is this? What camera is this? I'm thinking, what are we shooting with here? What have we got going on? All right. So next image, Paul Harrop. Now Paul has shot this one with a Nikon D810, a 70 to 200 mm lens at 200 millimeters, and the ISO, the other EXIF information for me is missing. I don't know if you can see that up there, but there's no EXIF information. But I can see a bit of information here because he's included it in it. So he said 1/50th of a second at ISO 100 at 200 mm. So, Ren said, did also shoot with my Nikon but deleted photos by mistake. Oh no, that is a bummer. I've done that before. I think you'll see my vlog where I deleted everything. It's not a good feeling. I laugh because otherwise I would cry. All right, so let's have a look at this photo here from Paul Harrop. Now, Paul, you sent me 3 photos. It looked to me like maybe you were, trying to get some photography just around your home, because you sent me a picture of your dog and a picture of your cute little child as well. And this is one of the challenges when you're going to shoot near home. It's difficult to be creative, and I know we want to get out and practice with our cameras, which is good. But for me, this is just a random shot of a tree somewhere. It doesn't really do much for me. You've got a blown highlight popping out here, and once again, if you look at the histogram, you can see it over here that it's a blown highlight. And as soon as I put on the red, you can see that it's blown. Condolences, Ren. Everyone's going to be... I can see the chap going crazy now with feelings for Ren and his lost images. It's not good, is it? So, Paul, I know you've sent this in for critique. From a critiquing point of view, I think technically, there's not much I can say about it. To me, the image... and I chose this one because I'm not really a portrait photographer person. So your dog photo and your child photo, they both look fine to me, but I'm not into portraiture. But from a getting out and shooting the nature, I think you would be better off shooting something like this when the light was hitting it from one side. And so this is a good tip for everybody, is to go, okay, well, Fishy's out of here. See you, Fishy. Thank you for dropping in. You know, if you're going to take photos of something like this, and this is one of these, you know, it's got beautiful bark on it, and quite often you see these gums up in the Snowy Mountains that look like that as well, you know, gum trees. You know, you want the light hitting the side of it. You want something going on. I think the light here, I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's a bit hard to tell, but it looks like there's some from the top, the sides. It's very, very muted, and I'd say that's because there's a high canopy of trees. And yeah, I just, you know, I don't know what sort of feedback you're looking for. Technically, yep, got good focus. You've certainly got the background blur going on. But I think I would encourage you to get your camera and get out and take some photos. You know, go and do a bit of exploring and get out of your local neighbourhood and really do some exploring and see what you can come up with. So there you go, Paul. Hopefully you found that helpful. All right, now the final two images. Let me show you the two together. The final two images are these two here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go. That's one of the ones that are equal to 4. There they are. So these are the final two images, and these images here were sent in by Ivan Biggenden. Now these are from Tassie. He said he was on I think he was in a trip in Tassie. But I don't know whereabouts in Tassie these spots are, but I think one of them's down south of Hobart somewhere, the one on the right, and it looks like they're both from a similar location, actually. The Nut, yes. The reason I chose these to critique was, well, there's two reasons. First of all, Ivan said to me, he said, oh, I forgot my big camera, but I took these anyway, and, you know, hopefully you like them. I mean, we just saw with Ren's image, like, you don't need a DSLR to get out and take photos. He took that photo with his phone. So these are taken with an Olympus TG2. So a little, I think that's a point and shoot camera, the TG2. So you don't need a huge camera to get out there and take nice photos. It has rendered this. I mean, let's jump straight into this one here. They have rendered really nicely. You know, these are just JPEGs, so there's a little bit of noise in there, but, you know, I think they're a pretty good photo. Now, what I would have done here, and this is a good example of thinking about your composition before you hit the shutter button. You know, there's ways where when you move, remember we were talking earlier with a panoramic image about parallax error. If I move to the right, let's say you can see where Ivan's standing here. If Ivan was to move to the right, what would happen is this here, the Nut, would move to the right, and this old piece of you know, historical building would move to the left, and you would end up with a gap between the two. So things like that to give things separation are really cool. The other thing, if you moved a little bit to the right out from this fence, I would have got this fence so it was coming out of the corner of the image rather than out of the bottom. So it was more of a leading line. And I would have tried to have it so the fence carried on down. You know, I saw more of it because my eyes want to see more of the fence. It's a beautiful old fence. Now, there might have been a reason for it. Maybe there was a whole bunch of tourists standing just here and he wanted to cut them out. I don't know. That's what I say. We're not there at the spot. But as you can see, you know, you don't need to have a DSLR to take a great photo. These point and shoots, I've got a Canon G7X that I use for recording the vlog, and sometimes I've used that to take photos, and it just does a great job. So I think sometimes you've just got to be mindful of it. And there's a couple of little things here that I will say. Over here, you can see there's a black dot. Now, it might be a bird, might be a helicopter or something like that. As I always say, never be afraid just to get rid of anything like that that is, you know, distracting. So I'm just using the little healing tool to get rid of it. So don't ever be afraid to get rid of anything that is distracting your image. The other thing, this does have a fair bit of noise in it, so I don't know if you can see that color noise, and it also has a bit of chromatic aberration. So the way that you can get rid of that in Lightroom is you can tick this little box which says remove chromatic aberration. And looks like it's going to do a little bit of a job here. Not much of one, but it has had a go at it. You know, just tried. It's not doing a very good job, unfortunately. It's not doing a very good. Let's see if I can just get it to defringe here. So there's another option where you can go in and tell it you want to defringe. It's like a real white color, so it's going to be quite difficult to get rid of. But you want to try and just look up close and see what's going on. Now, I've got a JPEG here, so if I had the original image, it would probably do a better job. The other thing is it's quite noisy, so there is a noise reduction inside of Lightroom. Here it is here. And so you'll see straight away when I do it, what happens is you lose some of the detail. So as the more I go to the right with the luminance noise reduction, you see I'm losing the detail. So sometimes you just got to add some of the detail back in, and it's just a balancing act. This is where I would definitely go into Photoshop to do noise reduction, because you can do some better sort of masking, because you're going to lose the detail and all this beautiful brickwork if you do it inside a Lightroom. But that's something that I would just be mindful of with these point and shoot cameras, is they can tend to be a little bit noisy in their final image quality. Now the reason for that is maybe you shot it in JPEG, and any camera when you shoot in JPEG is going to do something to your images that compresses it inside the camera. So that was pretty cool. He shot this, once you can see, 4.5mm f8 1/200th of a second. So it's interesting, these real, I don't know, 4.5mm. How they get so wide, because I don't ever know the lenses to be that size, but it must be, these point and shoots. Something new I'm seeing. All right, if I go back to his other image, this was a 3-shot pano that he stitched together. So let's just jump back into the other one, which is this one here. And I think that looks really good. Once again, I would have been tempted to not have the nut right there in the middle, because it looks a bit out of, I think, maybe have shot it. And I would be a fan, like, for me, let me just show you what I would do, just from a composition point of view. I do like the road going up to it, so I'd probably keep the road in. But I probably would have shot a lot wide, like a lot more to the left. But even that looks a bit better. You want those clouds in there, nice. Maybe get rid of a lot of that foreground stuff in the front. Maybe something like that. Once again, I'm being picky. Not a lot sort of wrong with it, but that's sort of kind of cool. And then I like to put like I said, a bit of the gradient top and bottom, just to bring the attention into a pano, something like that. But once again, it just shows that you don't need to have a DSLR. The other thing that this camera is doing, I don't know if you can see that, but the horizon is bowed. So, once again in here, sometimes, you can just tick the profile correction, or if you go in here manually, you can start to change what's going on with the image and remove the distortion like that, and just straighten the horizon up. You can sort of see that you can use then these controls down here to make other changes. So you can sort of rotate. I don't know if you've played with these much, but they give you the opportunity to really adjust and fine tune things in the image. So things like aspect, scale, and then the offset. But really, what you want to try and do is remove the distortion, so your horizon is straight, which with this lens, at 4 point whatever, 4 point something, my gosh, it's not going to be easy to do, but there we go. I'm sort of getting there with that. I'm still not where it needs to be, but once again, that's the sort of time I would probably jump into Photoshop and see if I could fix it. And if I just show you the before and after, you'll see the difference. See how this one's sort of bulging, and this one looks more natural. So that's a really important thing when you're working on something like a panoramic or with a wide-angle lens, is really watch out for that distortion, even though when you look at the photo, sometimes you may not see it. But if you look between those now, the left and the right, look at the vast difference that has made. So, sometimes you've just got to take that little bit of extra time, and you'll get a much different looking photo if you just put a bit of time and effort into doing that. But yeah, 3 good images this week, and they're all good because they had a little bit of something I could add value to, just to help everybody, which is good. Alrighty, so thanks again to Ren, Paul, and Ivan for sending those in. Really do appreciate you doing that. Chance says, yeah, the best camera is the one you have in hand at the moment. You know what? I can't believe how many photos I take with this these days. And for sharing on social media, it's good. And I have Photoshop Express on there, which is an app that Adobe make and works really, really well. So there's no reason why you can't take photos on your phone. I mean, look at that. The Samsung phone is just impressing me, the shots. And I'm surprised at how good it is. All right, so let's just do a couple of things to wrap up. First of all, just wanted to remind you, if you want to get into the VIP group, which I'd encourage you to do. You know, like I said, we're over in this VIP group here having a good old chat. You can share your photos in there. You can chat with me directly during the week. I'm pretty active in there, which the other guys will tell you. We're having, like I said, a lot of, we're chatting about stuff, sharing photos, answering questions, getting to know each other. Good, and it sort of keeps the conversation going during the week. So you can sort of see there's very active, and there's only, there's only, I think it says 9 members, because I'm in there and so is the boss in there. So it's only at the moment, we've just kicked it off. It's only just kicked off. But if you want to become a part of that, just come across to this Patreon page, which is patreon.com/on3legs. I think there is a link down below in the description, and you can choose what level suits you. But you can, for $2 a month, you can jump in at the base level, support the channel. I really do appreciate it, and jump into the VIP group and come and hang out. There's a lot of good fun going on in there. Really would love to see you in there. The other thing I wanted to do was, if you want to share your social media links in the chat box right now, do that. And that way you can start following each other and supporting each other, because I think that's a cool thing as well. So now is the time of Pixel Chatter where you get to do that. Stick your social media channels into the chat box and let everybody else follow you, and do your best to follow each other. Okay, let me have a look at the chat box. Ben says, agreed, I take 75% of my images with my Fuji. Yes, idiot-proof. That's what we need. Ren says, Photoshop is good for that, but not easy to fix. Yes, definitely. Anthony says, there is a sheep loading ramp right behind him, and I'm sure Ivan is being respectful to the landowner by not entering the property. Yes, thanks, Anthony. I said there's always some reason. Gwen says, I always feel that the light is softer in Tas. Well, the landscape's amazing in Tasmania, isn't it? Let's face it. How good is the landscape in Tassie? It's amazing. Absolutely love the camera app that's inside the Lightroom mobile app. Full manual controls for all your manual needs, says Daniel. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, okay. Good to know. Yeah. So there we go. Let's get an Instagram coming up from Nidden, which is NKOZ. Yes, make sure you share your social media in there. Get following each other. It's always good to support each other as photographers and have, you all know each other and you're chatting away in this chat box every week. So feel free to jump in there. And I look forward to those of you that decide to become a VIP. Oh, Reuven's just joined the VIP group. G'day, Reuven. Welcome to the group. And thank you. But anybody else who wants to join the VIP group, please do. We'd love to see you in there. What will happen is once you join, you then get a little thank you screen with a video from me that gives you the link to the group. Alrighty, yeah, share your links. Got a few Instagram links coming in. Now, if you do want to get your images onto Pixel Chatter for critiquing, once again, down below in the links is my email address. You need to send 3 photos, and please make sure you retain the EXIF information. If your images don't have the EXIF information, then at least put some notes in the email about how you took the photos, where they were, and what settings you used, and then shoot those through to me. A good size... Yuan just joined as well. G'day, Yuan. Welcome to the group. A good size for the images is sort of, as long as the longest edge is a minimum of sort of 1200 pixels, try and make it about 1800 or 2000. That gives me a good size to work with if I decide to edit anything inside of Lightroom. Yeah, so, it just helps me then give you the best possible the best possible feedback when I critique it, if I have the XF information of a decent size image. So feel free to do that. Alrighty. Thanks, Anthony. You're welcome. Roger, thank you. Anybody tried using an iPad Pro for serious photo editing? Asked John. Hey, I've been thinking about it, John. I don't have one, but I did think about getting one because I use my Bamboo tablet and love it. But how good would it be if your tablet, you know, because I've seen those tablets that have the screen on them, the Bamboo ones. And I don't know how it works on the iPad. So yeah. Hey, thanks, Brian. Glad you enjoyed it. I'll just go over and I can see a couple newbies have asked to join the Facebook group. Alrighty, let's have a look. Let's get Yuan. I'm going to approve you. You're in. Welcome to the group, Yuan. Make sure you introduce yourself in the VIP group. Same for you, Reuven. As you jump in there, make sure you introduce yourself. A lot of the guys are on the chat as well. Jump in there and join us. Alrighty, well that's it for another great week of Pixel Chatter. Thanks again for tuning in. If you do spot me out and about anywhere taking photos, come up and say g'day. I'd love to, I'd love to if you're out and about and I'm there, come and say g'day. And you know, I'm always willing to help you out as well if you need any help with anything whilst you're out and about. And until next week, I'm gonna, you get a vlog out during the week. With a bit of luck on Monday night, and then depending on how I go getting that done, and then we'll do Pixel Chatter again next week. And what I'm thinking about doing for the VIPs during the week is a little Facebook Live inside the VIP group. So I'm just working out how to do that, but we'll see how we go. So until next week, get out there and take some photos.